Welcome to another edition of Hi Events. We are here at Cinnamon Grand in Colombo to help you embark on a journey like no other and invest across the borders. That's right, we are here today with Dwellings Group, which is an Australian company that helps Sri Lankans and foreigners in Sri Lanka invest in properties across the border in the land of plenty, and that is Australia. Indeed, this is a time that a lot of Sri Lankans and foreigners are migrating to Australia, and when parents are sending their students abroad for studies, especially in countries like Australia. Dwellings Group helps you to build a home and invest in a property in Australia across the borders. So definitely this is an exciting opportunity that you do not want to miss. Please join us on this remarkable journey. I'm your host, Amanda Ramos. Today with the man himself, the director of Dwellings Group Australia, and that is Mr. Sanjika Beratna. Pleasure to have you, sir.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you.
Sir, of course, I think you are the best person for us to ask this question. What do you mean by smart property investments, and especially such a grand event that you have organized?
Yes, Amanda, we've been doing this kind of a property investment seminars for last 10-15 years, and we've been offering Australian property investment opportunities to not only Sri Lanka, to Dubai, Singapore, Malaysia, and from worldwide people coming to Australia. We are a registered and licensed real estate company from Australia. This time we are focusing on smart property investment because Australia being one of the AAA plus credit country and have a high growth potential economic conditions. So we are giving an opportunity for investors from everywhere from the world to come and invest in Australia to get high growth returns, high property returns for your investment. So we have a model that is carefully created for people to invest in Australian growth potential locations on property and get the returns back. So this is very attractive and very lucrative information for people who are looking to invest in Australia. This will also open up if you are planning to migrate skill and professional migration. They need property. So we've been providing these property services from Australia through Dwellings Group, and we are managing the property. We will find tenants, do the background checks and ongoing property management, and after a certain time, if you want to sell, that we provide the end-to-end service from Australia for people from Sri Lanka as well this time. So we've been doing this in Sri Lanka for many years, and we're offering these services again back to our investors.
We are here with Mr. Chandu Jayatilka, who is the General Manager for Dwellings Group Australia, and happy to have you, sir.
Thank you, Amanda. Thanks for being with us. So basically, Dwellings Group, I think you've gotten a good understanding because we've been in the business for a long time. What we do is we take care of the end-to-end service for Sri Lankans who want to invest in Australia. Basically, we take care of the entire investment, whether it's a house and land, whether it's an apartment, we take care of all that. Some of our clients say, okay, I buy an apartment, I buy a house and land, what is going to happen next? We take care of the property management as well. So from finding tenants to finding, we do our background checks, we do all of that, and then get the adequate and proper checks done to make sure that, there are right tenants in place for our clients. At the end of it, Sri Lankans are here, and then when they do their investment in Australia, it's very difficult for them to manage it. So we are the ears and basically the eyes in Australia for our clients.
So, our main focus, of course, is Sri Lankans being able to invest in Australia. If you can just explain a little bit about that procedure, as I'm sure many of your potential clients would be really excited to know what it's about.
That's right. So, Amanda, Sri Lankans can invest in Australia. There's something called a FIRB, which is the Foreign Investment Review Board. So, even if you're a Sri Lankan, even if you're an overseas buyer, there's no problem buying property in Australia. You can buy either a brand new property or a property which has not been occupied by anyone. So, that's called the FIRB. We take care of that as well. We take care of the entire process from getting the legal services to obtaining the FIRB, for doing all the paperwork, construction updates. We take care of the entire process. So all you have to do is basically say, okay, I'm interested in an apartment, a house and land, a townhouse, whatever your requirement is. We take care of all the legal paperwork, we take care of the FIRB, and we take care of your investment. So Dwellings Group is basically a one-stop shop to in investment in Australia.
We are here with Vidushini Sadish Kumar, who is actually the Business Development Manager for Dwellings Group Australia. Looking lovely as ever, Vidushini.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for having us here.
Well, Vidushini, we'd like to ask you, as we also spoke to your colleagues, can you tell us a little bit about what kind of properties are up for offer through Dwellings Group, and also what kind of a customized service you provide your clients?
So, Amanda, basically, Dwellings Group is Australian-based company. So, what we basically do is we have projects, all around Melbourne. So, starting off with house and land, apartments, townhouses. So, whatever the client prefers, we would have options for them. And so, that is basically the property portfolio that we have. In terms of the customized services, see, we do have we get clients from various sectors and various fields. So, each and every client's preferences would be different. Now, there are some clients, who would want to come and do pure investment, and there's another set of clientele who would just want properties for their kids because they're going for universities. So depending on the requirements, we have apartments if they want to stay close to the universities or the city, and we have house and land packages for pure investment. So whatever that they would require, we have that end-to-end service, because being a Sri Lankan, they would not know how the process works. So we do the A to Z process, the end-to-end service for our clients.
That's wonderful to hear, Vidushni. So like you said, you do provide an end-to-end service to your clients. Could you please maybe just tell them how they can access your service, and maybe how they can come and communicate with you and go forward from there?
Yeah. So basically, we do have two companies. So one is based in Sri Lanka, and also we have our overseas company in Australia, which is our head office. In Australia, if someone who's watching us now who would want to go to our Melbourne office, we have one in Moonee Ponds and Narayavaran. And the Sri Lankan office is based at Galadari, so they could always come visit us. Go to our website, which is Dwellings Group website, and they could always contact us with that.
we've decided to sit down a little bit and ask some key people from the Dwellings Group, and that is the managing director as well as the general manager here with me today. What exactly is the return on investment that a potential client would get when they invest in something as a smart investment property, especially being in layers with Dwellings Group? What is the key factor there? What do you really propose and what do you bring forward to your clients?
Thank you, Amanda, and that's a very important question because we are creating a vehicle for investors to get high returns for your investment. So a lot of people investing in property and wait till the property price goes up and get the return. So we have created a different model, which is a smart investment. We identify key locations in Australia where the high growth potential based on the large government funded projects going to be. I'm not talking about small shopping centers or train lines and etc. We are talking about more than $5-6 billion development. For example, we are aiming for 2026 Commonwealth Games and $10.5 billion rail upgrade projects happening in Australia. Teaching hospitals and big investments fueled by the government. So we invite our investors to go and invest on those locations now before those projects kick starts. So that way we can secure the property prices at today's rates and block them on, and then by the time we settle the lands and build, you already increase the price on the land and build both. So we invite our investors to experience the growth on those factors. That is why we call it as a smart investments, and this has been interest from many parts of the world. So we've been operating in Dubai, Australia, Singapore, Malaysia, and we offering this opportunity for Sri Lankans as well. But we have a lot of people who are having funds in Europe and other areas where the interest rates are very minimum for your deposits. So what we can do is we can ask them to invest on Australian high growth potential locations and get the advantage of those investments and reinvest the capital again and again on a next growth potential locations, and then the returns can be reused or extracted back to Sri Lanka or wherever you want to, because there's no restrictions out of Australia as well. So this is an opportunity to make some dollar investments and get the benefit of the Australian developments happening. This is a AAA plus credit rated country and the high growth potential, world largest foreign direct investment location and world most attracted migration happening to Australia as well. There are a lot of reasons, and the education hub that fuels the growth on property investment. And further to that, now with the COVID, we have experienced people invested on share markets and other places wiped out their investments so on a overnight. But we are talking about physical, tangible property investments. Your investment is much secure.
Thank you very much, sir. And indeed, you have highlighted many benefits to Sri Lankans if they go forward with such a project. So as the general manager, what else can you add to this? And definitely when we spoke before, you said that Dwellings Group is a one-stop shop for clients all across the world, especially for Sri Lankans. Anything that you would like to add to that?
Thank you, Amanda. That's a very interesting question you ask, actually, to point out what Sanjik also said, and to add on to it, it's actually one of the most stable economies in the world. If you look at COVID to other economic issues, Australia has actually gotten through it faster than other countries. It's a very stable and a very confident economy for Sri Lankans and other investors. To add to what you were asking about one-stop shop, we take care of the entire investment. For the FIRB, if you look at that, that's a Foreign Investment Review Board. So even Sri Lankans can invest, overseas people can invest in Australian property without any issue at all. We get all the government requirements, we take care of all of that. And then the property management is a key factor. We take care of the renting, we find tenants for Sri Lankan investors. So we take care of that entire process, we give them updates and we give them information on how they can further get a return on their rental properties. When it comes to selling the property, we advise them, okay, the property prices have gone up, why don't you sell the property when it's at its peak, and thereafter look at other opportunities. Like Sanjika said, there are certain areas we have marked out, we do our own internal research. We look at a 3-4 year window, we look at certain areas. After about the 4th year, you dispose the property, get a good profit, get a good income. Thereafter look at other areas where it's developing. So we are the people, I think, who have knowledge on that. So please speak to us and get Any questions you may have, we'll be the ones to answer that for you.
Thank you very much for that answer. And just to further add to it, what kind of a timeline are we looking at, and what is the timeline that our clients could expect when they decide to invest in such properties? What is the timeline on their investment and things going forward? Yes.
You're basically looking at a 2 to 4 year period. Certain areas the growth comes in about 2 years, and then certain areas you can expect about a 3 to 4 year wait time. After that, we will say, okay, it's at its peak, and dispose the property when it's at its peak, because that's when you get your good return, when all the developments are done. What Sanjika said is an area we are focusing on now is Ballarat, which has the Commonwealth Games coming up in 2026. So if you do an investment now in 2025, 2026, once the developments have been done by the government, you can sell off your property at that moment when you get a good return, and then we can focus on other areas at that given time.
Now, we know that the Dwellings Group is an Australian company, and we'd like to know if you can advise your clients why investing in a country such as Australia would be beneficial. What is the economy like, and what can clients expect by investing in Australia?
Thank you, Amanda. Now, Australia is a AAA plus credit rated economy, and that's why we invited investors to come and invest in Australia, because the Australian government is inviting investors to come. They're giving the approval. We are facilitating the FIRB approval for non-resident investors to come and invest in Australia. But the given now we have been going through the COVID lockdown, and the world economy has suffered a lot in this. But Australia being the first country in the world to come out of the recession. We were in a global recession, but Australia 2 times bounced back to come out of the recession, first in the world. And that shows how strong is the economy is. And at the same time, now we have a Russia-Ukraine matter going on, that also creating a lot of financial turmoil in the world economic conditions. But in Australia has been a rich resource country, that we've been offering natural resources, and there's a demand building upon those. Now, because of the Russia and Ukraine matter, there are so many European countries putting sanctions on Russia, for example, so they can't go to Russia. And then Ukraine, if you look at, they've been hit hard. They are in a difficulty to produce those resources for next 5 to 10 years. That creating a vacuum in the world for natural resources and agricultural products and supplies. So the Australia being neutral in the world and not impacted by those world issues, that we are in a strong position in next 2 to 5 years to produce those resources. I think that will give a real edge as an economy in Australian economy, that it will bounce back and create a better opportunity for investors to come and invest, and that we can guarantee that they'll get a better return on investment for your property investments.
Well, definitely, indeed, it will be a remarkable experience and an opportunity that many Sri Lankans should definitely not miss. Thank you for joining us today at Cinnamon Grand for the Australian Property Showcase, brought to you by the Dwellings Group Australia. Indeed, they have an experience and a package like no other that as Sri Lankans bring a great opportunity. It's an investment that is definitely worthwhile. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, I'm your host, Amanda Ramos, signing out.